Hi, and welcome back to Behind the Scenes with Sarita Patel. I'm Latham Woodward, your co-host, with our host today, Sarita Patel. Sarita, hi.
Hey, Latham. How are you?
I'm doing great. We've been having some great success with the new episodes, and it's very exciting in general. I just wanted to go through a subject we talked about last time, and it's kind of important, especially with regard to your life. How do you respond to this? When do you recognize you're getting pushed out of a job?
Well, we talked about this. It's pushed out of a job, pushed out of a family, pushed out of a friendship, right? There are all these subtle things that happen that people don't always notice. But this really came out of all of a bunch of people reaching out to me saying, this is happening at work. And I could quickly identify, oh my, they're getting pushed out, right? And no matter what, I would say, like, you're getting pushed out. That person on the other end would say, no, that's not what's happening. But it was so, just on point, like pattern. And so that's why we're talking about this. I mean, part of it is, yes, I do know a lot of these patterns, but too, a lot of people are getting pushed out at rapid pace. And it's like causing that whiplash, like the episode that we talked about, the whiplash episode.
Yeah.
People don't even know what happened.
Yeah, that was on our other channel, Talks from the Essex Hotel. By the way, if you do hear background noise here today, we are coming to you live from our suite at the Essex Hotel. And we do get noise here occasionally, so please bear with us. It's been especially noisy with the psychiatrists and the chiropractors nearby. This is a very important subject to younger people because we've lived through all this, right?
Right.
Now, some points that we talked about were, let's just say someone says to you at work, oh, Sarita, you don't have to come to this meeting. It's okay. What does that spur in you?
Well, it says two things. One is either, depending on who's giving you that direction, it could be a relief, like, oh, good, somebody's, covering me. I don't have to go to another meeting.
Yeah, but we're talking about a senior person who you're usually in meetings with, right?
Then you go, why am I not being included in this meeting? And that is definitely a red flag or a flag.
It's definitely a red flag. I mean, you have to start paying attention at that moment. And that's where it starts usually. Although sometimes another thing we brought up earlier was when you're asked to mentor someone, like, Sarita, you are so smart in your job. You could really do worlds of help for this young lady. She's coming up, she doesn't know anything. And then later you find out she's an MBA from Stanford or something, right? And you're like,
Right. So that's a great one, right? Can you just mentor this person? And what that does is, for a busy person, of course, I love mentoring. People love doing it, especially if you're really good at what you do. But that is another sign that they're training somebody to replace you, or a new team could be coming in. But yeah, mentoring is not always, unless you've got an internship program set up and you're doing it, collectively.
Yeah, and anytime I've witnessed it before when you get, it's never happened to me, but mentors who come into friends of mine, they're like, yeah, they ask all these questions about, stuff they shouldn't really know about, but they're asking about that. And I'm like, well, maybe that's not, for today's conversation kind of thing. But they're definitely trying to get under your skin to undermine you. And I think this happened to you in one of your jobs, right?
Yeah, it did. And to undermine you, but also to get information.
Right.
Right? They want to know what you're saying about your position, about how you feel about things. And so a lot of that information, just kind of like AI information, it's kind of run through a funnel, and they want to see what they have to look out for.
Yeah.
Right? And you can dig a hole just by being honest. You can dig a hole for yourself just by being honest with somebody.
Yeah, and I think you have to have a zero trust level with somebody who's coming in like that, because you don't know if it's all true or not, especially in a big organization. It could just be a mining expedition.
Exactly.
It's like, and you ask the next day, what happened to Susie? She was such a great kid. I liked talking to her. Oh, she didn't work out. Really? Just like that, huh? Really?
Well, and that's what I love about you. You know, you're just so matter of fact, and I'm so always trying to be helpful. And being helpful versus being just neutral about the whole thing once you know what's happening can really, prevent some pretty bad skid marks.
Yeah. Poor Susie. Anyway, when reminding you to do things you did when you first started, what is that all about? That was the point on your list here, and I didn't really understand that one.
Okay, so that's one where, I was having this conversation with these two unbelievable badass women, the last couple days, and I've been sharing that with you. So you get to a point in your career where, you're not getting coffee anymore, but you will get coffee, right?
Yeah, sometimes you got to get coffee.
Sometimes you got to get coffee. But when you are asked to do these tasks from, when you first started entry level, and they're repeated, and then you're actually being graded on them, that is a way of really kind of breaking your confidence.
Like
Like for
checking you kind of thing, or not checking you, but just like seeing your willingness to do something.
Yeah.
Or
Because if you say, I don't have time for that, or, I'll have somebody else do it, you could construe that as disobedience, right? I mean, you could do anything depending on what you want. Anything can be narrated or scripted.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, somebody told me that I was falling down on the job because I wasn't putting gas in someone's car. And I was like, oh my God, I can't even remember the last time I put gas in the car. Not that I can't do that. It's just that my time was more valuable, using my brain.
Well, I know who this is. Doesn't that person have a person to just gas up his cars? I mean, honestly.
Well, right. So, I mean, it's funny, but it's also not funny.
You're right.
Right? Because technically, if you don't rewrite your job description, that is one of the duties. So again, from a legal standpoint,
Yeah.
you got to just know that that's part of the territory.
Yeah, and then there's also, from a subject that's near and dear to both of our hearts, that phone call from HR, the HR lady, the HR Karen. So, Sarita, you didn't want to get the coffee or make the copies for the guys in the boardroom today? What's that all about?
Right, right. And when you get it from HR, the HR people who have no idea what you do on a daily basis, but now all of a sudden they do.
Listen, Karen, I didn't have time. That's not the answer they wanted, right?
I mean, it's funny, but it's also not funny. I mean,
it's not funny.
I can say this because in my instance, it was just time to go. There was just changes happening, and but I can look back in the rear view mirror and just go, aha, I caught that one. I didn't catch that one. And now that I'm hearing all these stories from so many people, it's the same script.
Yeah, and we talked about this before. There's a kind of a business axiom within the business community about, at a certain point, and it's usually 30 years of a business's existence, you either go big or you shut down. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the rule. Mm-hmm. It's not hard and fast, of course, but you have to make strategic decisions between the 25th year and the 30th year. That's the time. Mm-hmm. So if you work for somebody for 24 plus years, 25 years, you're like at that point where like it's going to go big or I'm getting canned.
Right. And canned or transitioned out. I mean, I look at it a lot like succession planning, right? It's the same thing. If you don't plan it ahead, then it could just turn into a monumental, get it done quick mess.
It doesn't go well in that case.
And so it just doesn't have to be that way. But unfortunately, time is not something people factor into this. It's mostly, let's get it done now.
It's like private equity and coming in to take over your personal life. Never a good result, right? So the other one is as far as the scheduling and stuff goes, it's making changes to your calendar. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right.
And you're like, well, what's happening here?
Right. Well, and if you don't know what your calendar is, then what do you know? I mean, the calendar is the biggest thing. So, yeah, not getting invited to meetings or being left out, not being copied on emails anymore. All these things start to go, things are starting to slow down here.
Or meetings get changed and then they don't get rescheduled, or they
Oh,
do.
I forgot to tell you.
But you're not in on that one. So that goes back to the first thing, it's just like, oh, what's happening here? And then you start to go, uh-oh.
Well, I want to bring up one example. When I worked at Esprit, all of our offices were, anyone who had an office had a glass window, right? So you could see into everybody's office, and the conference rooms were all glass. So everyone knew who was in what conference room or who was in whose office getting talked to or yelled at or, promoted. You could just see everything. But that was a classic example of a place where you could see the politics every day.
That was the precursor to prairie dogging. You know that term?
No.
Prairie dogging's when offices went to the open floor plan, right? And then the bigwig would come up, and then you'd see all across the office floor heads popping up.
Yeah.
What's going on? What's going on? Why is he talking to that guy?
I mean, workplaces are such coffee, what do you call it? That when people talk in the coffee room?
It's coffee clutch.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, that's a very real thing. The other thing we talked about was the parade of quote unquote new candidates who come through the office, and you're like initially excited, oh, maybe we're going big, blah blah blah, and then you realize, maybe it's time for wholesale change around here, right?
Yeah. So that's another one, right? And
they very well could be actors,
they could be,
right?
You're right.
Just to unhinge everyone.
That's right. So this example I will give you, I knew I was leaving, right? I mean, I had this one job I resigned. I was going to, stay there for 2 or 3 months and just clean everything up and train the person who was coming in to fill my position. So from my standpoint, everything was very clear. And I was a lot more seasoned at this point. But when this, what do you want to call it? The principal person, we were at a construction meeting, and this principal started to parade in these drop-dead, gorgeous young assistants. And the construction crew, to do a walkthrough of the project, because they would now be in charge of this project, like I was.
Right.
And I'd be like, oh my God, is this really how immature people are? Because, the construction guys would be like, oh man, did you see who's coming in? Right? And they'd look at me and they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. Like,
what was the purpose of that?
It's a way to make you feel insecure, because it gives that person leverage.
Yeah, put you on guard.
Put you on guard. And like the example I just gave you, if you bring in somebody who's 25 years your junior, there's a difference. I look different when I was 32 than I do when I'm 50.
Yeah.
And it's not bad, but for a lot of people, age matters so much, how they look as they age, especially now that people are talking about ageism more and more and more.
We should probably just talk about that now, because that is something that's becoming incredibly common. And, there's supposed to be laws about these things. But tech is a really good example of how, a senior manager comes in and he's doing great. He's been at, let's just use a company, Intel or something, right? Or Google. And they've been there for 20 years. They're doing great. They're smashing it. They know the ins and outs, the whole business. But then the actuaries and the accountants and the upper management starts to go, well, Bob is making, $580K a year. He gets 18 weeks a month vacation. But he's great. I mean, we love Bob. Bob's great. We should really keep Bob. But
I know, it's really funny how that math problem just creeps up everywhere.
Well, it's a 5 for 1. In San Francisco, it's a 3 for 1. So for the $580 that they're paying Bob for excellent stand-up work that he could probably do in his sleep, then you get 3 guys out of Cal Berkeley for $185 a year.
Well, right.
Right?
Right. So if monetization and that ROI is always the benchmark, then that will always continue happening.
Yeah, and the three new Bobs, they're making 185K.
Right.
And they're going to work their ass on the ground.
Right.
And they're not getting 16 weeks vacation.
No, but there is a ramp up cost to that, and that's the other thing. You and I have been talking about a lot of people.
The hidden costs are the
hidden
problem.
costs.
Right.
And nobody's calculating that. And nobody cares. But I do think something is shifting, because if we're looking at all these mega lawsuits that are happening just like rapid fire, right? And those are happening, I think, because these new people don't have the skill set to make those kinds of discerning decisions like, whoa, maybe we shouldn't do that, or maybe we should handle it this way.
Well, we did talk about the new generation, which my daughter is a part of, and a lot of them have the ability that the prior generation didn't have, and that's just basically say no. Mm-hmm. I've noticed that a lot.
A lot more.
Or they just like, yeah, that's not in my wheelhouse. Why are you asking me to do that?
Right.
And which is great. The honesty is amazing. But I mean, it could work against them, obviously, in their career path. But I mean, at least they're standing up for themselves.
Well, and we've talked about this too. I feel like the pendulum has swung on that. Remember, they were calling them spoiled brats and lazy. There's always going to be spoiled brats, and there's always going to be lazy people. But I would not classify that entire generation as spoiled and lazy, because they're standing up for themselves.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, if you're protecting yourself and your income and what you do, that's quite different than just being a dick.
Well, yeah, and a lot of these folks watched their parents get pushed around, and they're like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, they've all seen that.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I've been fortunate in my career to be an entrepreneur and work for myself for almost my whole career. And my wife, works as a designer, so it's like your boss is you.
Right. So, you did that. And I think with me, I saw my dad getting pushed around so much that I was like, I'm not letting that happen. So even though I worked for corporations, I kind of figured out how to be almost like these younger kids. And I wasn't, I didn't talk back, because I still had that, composure to be polite to anybody. But I figured out, like, I'm not staying here. That's why I jumped around so much in the beginning. I was like, done. And to a lot of people, that looked like, what is Sarita doing? But for me, it was absolutely the best thing I ever did.
You were a generation ahead of yourself by moving around. So.
Yeah.
Well, I think, the end all of this conversation is really beware and aware of what's happening around you in the workplace. And people who seemingly have your best interests at heart, like Karen from HR, they don't. They really don't. And they're just looking to keep you in your place. They're looking to intimidate you. They're looking to keep you on your toes. And very well, the people coming through the office for that tour are just actors they hired.
Well, right. And, like you said it before, they could be just mining you for all your information, so they have that knowledge that they can pass on. And that's all fine. But as you know, when the doctor retired, 80% of my phone calls were from people who were just like, I can't believe they did this to me.
Right.
And by that time I was like, they don't want to listen. They don't want to hear it.
For those of you who don't know, Sarita got like 400 phone calls a day, literally.
It's true.
And we had a long conversation about you shutting the doors to the psychiatrist's office. And it worked, kind of. You're still on the phone a lot, but
Not
better
like,
conversations.
Yeah, and it's happening to a lot more people. And people are charging bank to be the kind of therapist I was.
I know.
And that's a whole nother thing that we can talk about later. But, know the signs. It'll be a lot easier on you, and you can just get on with your life.
Yeah.
Life is ever changing. And so if you just get used to change, you're going to be fine.
Yeah. Don't be a Bob. Stick up for yourself. Keep the good money and roll from there, right?
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you next time here on Behind the Scenes with Sarita Patel. I'm Latham Woodward. And as always, thank you, Sarita.
Thanks, Latham.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.